Hi, welcome back to Painted Not Perfect. My name is Taylor and today we are going to be trying out some new nail art. I've been thinking about this design for probably a year now, and I've seen similar designs online, including this lovely creator right here, but nothing matched exactly what I was going for. So I'm hoping to do some citrus nails, so oranges, lemons, limes, just something really fun and fresh for spring. When it comes to doing a more complex design like this, I prefer to use gel, but you could totally do this using some traditional nail polish, some acrylic, whatever you have on hand. With nail art, it doesn't really matter which medium you use, so use whatever feels comfortable for you. Don't go out and buy a bunch of nail stuff. You don't need anything fancy to get started with nail art. You can just use the nail polish that has been sitting in your cabinet for the past 20 years. That's what I do. Does nail polish go bad? So I'm not going to be following any tutorial. This is just going to be me making it up as I go along. I already did my nail prep, so let's jump in. I'm just going to go ahead and dehydrate my nails using some acetone so that I can get rid of any of the oils that naturally occur on my hands. Now for this, I'm just going to use my little cup of acetone and literally like a craft paintbrush. So you just come in and you make sure that you get a nice coat of acetone all over your nails. All right, time for a base coat. The big thing with gel is that you really can't flood your cuticles at all. So if you accidentally get any on the side of your hand like I just did, you want to get that off before you cure, or else it's going to greatly reduce the life of your gel. So I used to only paint my nails with regular nail polish because it was all I had growing up. And no joke, I would purposefully flood my cuticles because in my mind, if I got it on the side of my hand, it would just wash off and the nail polish on my nails would stay. And it kind of worked, but I wouldn't recommend that because that is not gonna look pretty and it's not going to make your nails last a very long time at all. So I'm not going to paint my thumb in the nail can because I always rest my nail on the side of my desk to paint it. All right, we're gonna let that bake. All right, next you want a neutral color for the base. So I'm gonna use this. It's kind of sheer, but I really like how it looks on my nails. I think this would look really pretty on like a white base, or you could even do like a darker base color, but I just want this to look almost like a French tip, something a little bit more natural and clean. Isn't this like the year of the clean girl or something? Cool, we're done baking. Now I'm going to do a thin layer of this gel. Remember to keep it out of the cuticles and seal the end. I really love gel because I love how forgiving it is, especially with nail art. You'll see I'm probably going to do the design and wipe it off like 3 times before I'm happy with it. All right, let me just do my thumb. Before you cure, always make sure that you do a once over to make sure that you don't have any gel in your cuticle or coming off the side of your nail. All right, once you're happy with it, bake. All right, well that's baking. I'm going to grab out my tools. Honestly, you really don't need a lot of fancy tools in order to do your nails. I got these for super cheap on Amazon, but honestly, you could use what you have around your house. You don't need a dotting tool. You can use a toothpick or you can use the end of a pin. So just experiment and find what works best for you. This is art. This is supposed to be fun. It's not supposed to be perfect. All right, so that's done baking. I have my tools, I have my colors. Let's get started. I always paint with a paper towel next to me because I'm kind of messy, but also I use it to swatch my colors. Mix that around a little bit. Look at that beautiful paper towel. And we'll just get a little bit of color. Ooh, that's a pretty green. The set only comes with 1 orange, so I'm going to swatch it just to see how I feel about it, and worst case, I'll mix my own color. I'm gonna bake these real quick for 30 seconds just so that I can move them, interact with them without fear of getting it all over my hands. All right, so now these are dry to the touch. I can look at them a little bit closer. I think that the orange is a little dark for what I'm going for, so I might mix that with some of the yellow to get it to be a little bit more of like a lighter orange yellow. And I really like this green. We're gonna be super low tech and use this tzatziki lid in order to mix our colors. So I went to art school, and one of the things that always kind of stuck with me is that you don't mix a lighter color into a darker color, you always mix your darker color into your lighter color. So I'm going to pick out a brush. I'm going to take a little bit of the orange at a time and just mix it into my yellow until I get a color that I like. Maybe just a little more orange. All right, that is cute. So I'm going to start with my middle nail. And I always kind of pictured this as like using the natural curve of my nail to be the edge of the fruit slice. So I'm going to just do a line here. And I want this to kind of be like an asymmetrical line, like diagonal across my nail. So we're just going to set down our brush and pull it across. We'll fill in the rest of that orange slice. I'm going to bake that for 30 seconds just to set it. I don't love the brush that I'm using because it tends to create a much thinner layer of nail polish. So you have to do like 3 or 4 layers just to really kind of build it up. But the nice thing is that it cures a lot faster because of how thin it is. So we will want to do another layer. I'm going to do this right in front of me so I can follow that line. And reminder, the goal of this is to have your nails painted by the end, not perfect. All right, let's see if 3 coats will be enough. So that is 3 layers. I think that's looking pretty good. I'm going to bake that one more time and then we'll move on to the next nail. So I think what I will do is I'll do an orange on my center nail, then a lime, then a lemon on my thumb. And for the other nails, I'm not quite sure what I want to do yet, but I'm totally making this up as I go along. I'm going to try to film this. Gonna move this to the edge. I'm on the edge of the desk and I'm painting my thumbnail for you. All right, so because that nail is kind of tilted in that direction, this one I'm going to try to tilt in the other direction. I think I'm going to make this nail not have as severe of a tilt, but I still kind of want it to look asymmetrical because that will hide any imperfections. And because this is a thicker layer of gel, I'm going to bake it for 60 seconds just to make sure that it's fully dry between layers. That's one. Layer number 2 coming at you ASAP. So I don't know if you can see it, but I got a little bit of paint right on the edge of my nail. So I want to make sure that I clean that up. And basically if you let the polish overflow onto your skin, it creates a little bit of like a tab that it can get caught on things and then it'll pull off your nail polish. Now for my pinky nail, I'm going to do a line. I'm going to put this in front of me to do the line, the lime line.
That is amazingly funny.
Well, this is accidentally a giant lime. It's fine. Make sure to wrap the edge. Let me clean this up real quick and then we'll bake it. All right, and once again, I am baking for a minute. Next layer. Looking good. And I did decide what I want to do on my other nails. I want to do small lemons, limes, and oranges. So I'm going to grab out my dotting tools. That was a little too chaotic. All right, and I'm going to use a teeny tiny little one. Honestly, I do most of my nail art with dotting tools, not with brushes. But it's all about your comfort level. If you're more comfortable with a brush than with a dotting tool, go for it. You do you, boo. That is cured. Right now my nails look a little crazy, but trust the process.
Okay.
I don't trust you, Phyllis.
So I'm going to take my thicker dotting tool. I'm going to pick up some of this orange paint. I'm going to do some orange dots. Do some on my ring finger as well. All right, we're just gonna flash cure that for about 10 seconds. I really just want to get it on the nail and then we'll go in and do a second layer and then we can really cure it once we kind of get our initial designs in. We're gonna go in with a second layer just to darken up that orange because it's so light. I'll kind of swirl the dot around a little bit so that it evens out the nail polish a little bit and you don't end up with a bump on your nail. You'll still probably end up with a little bit of a bump, but it won't be as bad if you swirl it. We're gonna get a little bit of yellow. And for this one, I'm going to use the small end of my dotting tool, just so I can be a little bit more precise. If I decide that I wanna do a thicker lemon, then I'll do the other side, but we're gonna start with this. So for the lemon, I'm just doing a little dot, and then I'm just going to pull out the ends so that it's more like a football shape. All right, same thing over here. Trust the process, y'all, trust the process. And I'm actually not going to do limes on these nails because I don't feel like it. Flash cure. All right, for this next one, I do want the smallest little dotting tool that I can find. And now we're going to go in with the green to do the leaves. This is where it's all going to come together, I hope.
Oh yeah, it's all coming together.
I'm just gonna boop. They kind of look like pumpkins, but I'm not mad at it. And just have fun with it. You can do one leaf, you can do two leaves, you can do kind of whatever you feel like. I think the lemons look better with two leaves and the oranges look better with one, so that's what I'm going to do on my ring finger. So I don't like how long I made that leaf. So this is where you can come in with your acetone and a cleanup brush. So you can just go in, and because we flash cured the lemons and the oranges, they shouldn't be affected. And you can do something similar with traditional nail polish. I would use glossy top coat as kind of an isolation layer between your base color and whatever designs you do, just so that if you do have to erase, it shouldn't affect your base color. And this time I'm going to cure for the full 60 seconds. While that's curing, I'm going to pull out my white nail polish because it is time to make this look more citrusy. Once again, I'm going to pull out my handy dandy dotting tools. And this is a fun set because it comes with a lot of different sizes. The yellow is definitely kind of my go-to because it's a really nice medium-sized dot. I don't think I've ever used this one, but I'd be curious to try it someday. If you have any ideas for this guy, put them down in the comments and maybe I'll try them out. All right, we're gonna open up our white, mix it up a little bit. Gonna grab some white with our dotting tool. And my goal here is to do the rind and those lines that you kind of find in the middle of citrus. So we'll start with the rind on the orange. Oh my gosh, that is immediately adorable. And I'm just kind of following the curve of the nail, but just going in a little bit. And the nice thing about citrus is that it tends to be a little lumpy and imperfect. So this is going to be the perfect design whether or not it looks perfect. All right, so before I cure that, because this is all just kind of a test, I'm going to try doing the interior lines with my thinner dot. So for this, I'm going to find the center of the diagonal, and then I'm going to just pull the paint from there to the edge. Okay, I like that, but I kind of want it to be thinner. So I'm just going to wipe that off. All right, and I'm actually going to pull out one of my brushes. So we're going to do our center dot here again. And I'm not gonna put the rind on yet because this is all just an experiment to see how I feel about it. Okay, honestly, I kind of love that. Let's put the rind back in just to make sure that I like it together. All right, that's kind of quick and dirty, but I kind of love that. So I'm going to wipe that off again. Make sure that if you do use paper towel that you get all of the fibers off of your nails because you do not want to seal that in. So I'm going to do the rind one more time on this nail. We're gonna flash cure that for about 10 seconds and then we'll go back in with our thin brush, pick up some paint, and then we'll pull to the edge. And so this creator that I mentioned earlier rounded the edges a little bit, and I actually really like how that looked, so I'm going to do that a little bit on mine as well. All right, hold on. I'm obsessed. I know that citrus is seen as kind of like a summer thing, but All the people that I know who have like orange trees, their oranges are ripe around Christmas. So maybe citrus should be more of like a holiday thing. All right, let me do my thumb. All right, going to come in with a little bit of acetone and just clean up this one because I'm not in love with it. The final cure. It's finally here. And there you have it. This is our final product. It feels so nice to finally have this idea out of my head and on my nails. Would you try this? Let me know in the comments what you liked, what you didn't like, and feel free to tag me if you end up trying this for yourself. Until next time, thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!